that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict.
Tense orchestral swell, fading to a heartbeat pulse. What happens when two global titans, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, meet on American soil for the first time in decades and the mainstream media loses its mind? Welcome to the most explosive story of 2025. The Alaska summit was supposed to be about peace in Ukraine, but it's ignited a firestorm of accusations, half-truths, and jaw-dropping revelations.
Picture is that this is the end, from Putin's perspective, of his international isolation. He's welcome onto American soil for the first time in almost 2 decades outside of the UN, and he gets a warm welcome from Trump and gave nothing in return. Stuck to his hardline positions about Ukraine, and he walks away with no sanctions against him, evading sanctions for the 4th time. He walks away with no ceasefire, vague discussion about an agreement that nobody understands, and he's in a stronger position than when he arrived. And Trump, frankly, it's not clear what he got, except some, backhanded BS about how a war wouldn't have happened if Trump had been president, which is something Trump loves to say. And that literally...
Did Trump get played, or is he playing chess while the media plays checkers? From Putin's bold claims to the press's meltdown over a single press conference, we're diving deep into what really happened and fact-checking the hysteria. If you want the unfiltered truth, hit that super thanks button to keep this channel exposing the raw reality. Buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride.
As he has said today, that naturally, the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works.
Aerial shot of Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska. F-22 jets roaring overhead. August 15th, 2025. Anchorage, Alaska. The air is crisp, the tension thicker than the Arctic ice. At Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, a sprawling military fortress, an L-shaped red carpet stretches across the tarmac. 4 F-22 Raptors gleam under the Alaskan sun, a B-2 stealth bomber slicing through the sky above. President Donald Trump steps off Air Force One at 10:22 a.m., his signature red tie flapping in the wind. 33 minutes later, Vladimir Putin's plane touches down.
A very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelenskyy and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Ratcliffe, thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here, and I think, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time, and we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with.
The world watches as the two leaders shake hands, Trump clapping Putin's shoulder, a grin breaking through the stoic Russian's face. "Welcome to America," Trump says, ushering Putin into the presidential state car. No Russian Urus limo today. Trump's in charge.
A deal for Ukraine. But I can certainly set the table to negotiate the deal. And our next meeting will have President Zelenskyy and President Putin and probably me. I'd like to focus on doing our country, but, I get these interruptions. I've solved 6 wars in...
This wasn't just a meeting. It was a spectacle. The first time a Russian president set foot on U.S. soil since 2015, and the first U.S.-Russia summit since 2021. The stakes? Ending the Russia-Ukraine war, now in its 3rd bloody year. Trump campaigned on stopping it in 24 hours. Putin, facing an international criminal court warrant, walked onto a U.S. military base like he owned it. But what did they really discuss behind closed doors? And why is the media screaming betrayal?
And I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here, and that left the media scrambling to get their headsets in. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe about the history of the U.S.-Russia relationship, making some allusions to something that we didn't get many details on, but also, without knowing the full background of it, there was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seemed like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything.
Let's set the stage. In February 2022, Putin's tanks rolled into Ukraine, sparking Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. Under Biden, the U.S. pumped $75 billion into Ukraine. Weapons, aid, you name it. But the war dragged on, with Russia occupying 20% of Ukraine's territory, including parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. Trump, re-elected in 2024, promised a swift end. His February 12, 2025 call with Putin kicked off secret talks, followed by meetings between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Saudi Arabia. By July, Trump issued an ultimatum: end the war in 50 days or face crippling sanctions and 100% tariffs on Russian oil buyers.
His written remarks, and he also said, in a scale of 1 to 10, I give today a 10. So that's the president grading what he thought of the meeting.
This, by all of our standards, isn't a news conference.
That's excellent news, and exactly what we needed to hear from the president, because obviously there's a reason why he allowed things to happen the way that they did. He allowed Putin to address the world here and take the stage, even if there were no questions asked by the press. There was a reason for that. We didn't get a lot of explanation in the moment as to why that happened, so I'm happy to hear that the president feels good about the progress that was made today.
On August 8th, Trump announced the Alaska summit, a bold move to feel out Putin. No Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy, no European allies, just Trump, Putin, and their teams. Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Russian aides like Yuri Ushakov and Andrei Belousov. The choice of Alaska? Symbolic. Once Russian territory, sold to the U.S. in 1867, it's a neutral ground where the U.S. isn't bound by the ICC's arrest warrant for Putin. But the optics, Trump rolling out the red carpet sent shockwaves. Was this diplomacy or a dangerous dance?
That is the big question, and one that we still do not have the answer to. This was incredibly vague, and I have to say, with quite literally the entire world watching, with the future of Ukraine hanging in the balance, to not have any clarity here is pretty astounding. Now, President Trump said he was going, obviously, to be speaking with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. He was hoping that coming out of this meeting that they were going to have a ceasefire and that he was going to be announcing a trilateral meeting, that he was going to be announcing that they were finally going to get Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelenskyy in the same room. It seems
The summit began at 11:32 a.m. AKDT and wrapped by 2:18 p.m., just under 3 hours. At 2:58 p.m., the leaders held a joint press conference. No questions allowed. Putin spoke first, in Russian, catching reporters off guard. Relations have suffered, he said, but today was respectful and constructive. We agree with President Trump that Ukraine's security must be ensured. Trump followed, we made great progress. Many points agreed, a couple of big ones we haven't nailed down. I'll call Zelenskyy, NATO, and we'll keep pushing. No ceasefire, no clear deal, just vague promises and a lot of media outrage.
The United States, there is but one superpower in this world. It's the United States of America, both militarily and economically. You had the visuals on the military side, but both President Putin and President Trump talked about the economic strength. I also don't think this is all about Ukraine. I think they probably had a discussion that was much broader than that. I think this has to do with China. I think it has to do with Israel. I think it has to do with where Vladimir Putin...
You think they talked about all that?
I think they do mention that. I don't think they go 3 hours with maps. Well, because I think they actually go through and they want to talk about all of these places on where Russia is in the world. And we can push Russia around, because if Donald Trump decides to turn that knob and say, you're no longer going to be a participant in the world economy, then you're going to fall apart. That's why President Trump holds all the cards.
And that's why John Radcliffe going, don't you think, Jason?
Yes.
John Radcliffe going is important
Howard Lutnick.
Because he knows what's going on in Russia. He has the intelligence. So he says, listen, I know what he's telling you, Charlie Hurt. Radcliffe could say.
The mainstream media didn't waste a second. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh called it a catastrophe for Kyiv, claiming Trump was eviscerated by Putin. ABC's Mary Bruce fumed. No clarity with Ukraine's future hanging in the balance? The New York Times ran a scathing op-ed. Trump's red carpet for a war criminal legitimizes Putin's aggression. The left's talking points were clear. Trump rolled over, gave Putin a propaganda win, and betrayed Ukraine. X posts with 15 million views echoed this, with one user at Hisco's Cobra writing, Putin worked Trump over. No sanctions, no ceasefire, just a photo op for a dictator.
Transparent with our viewers, we were prepared for the possibility of a minimalist outcome. We were also prepared for the possibility of a maximalist outcome. We have maps of Russia and Ukraine such that if we were going to be talking tonight, we'd have Ali Velshi at the big board walking us through which territories were where and why they were of critical need and want to both. We had full screens about what membership to NATO means to Ukraine. There was so much that could have been discussed tonight, including Donald Trump saying, if he is not willing, he being Putin, willing to agree to a ceasefire, then there are going to be consequences. We had lists of tariffs and secondary tariffs pulled up, the possibility of sanctions. It is not clear that any of that was discussed. It is
Former Obama advisor Susan Rice piled on, tweeting, Trump's cozying up to Putin while Ukraine burns is shameful. The outrage focused on 3 claims. Putin steamrolled Trump by speaking first, no ceasefire was secured, and Trump's warm welcome ended Putin's isolation without concessions. Even John Bolton, Trump's ex-national security advisor, chimed in. Putin's already won by stepping on U.S. soil. Fact-checking the claims. Let's break this down with facts, not feelings. Claim 1. Putin steamrolled Trump by speaking first. The media flipped out because Putin addressed the press before Trump, unusual for a US-hosted summit. Fox News' own correspondent called it atypical, whining about scrambling for headsets. But here's the reality. Protocol isn't a treaty. Trump's team, including Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, confirmed the format was deliberate, a 3-on-3 meeting, not one-on-one, with Putin speaking first to set a constructive tone. Was it a power move? Maybe. But steamrolled? Hardly. Trump graded the meeting a 10 out of 10, suggesting he wasn't fazed. The media's obsession with who spoke first reeks of nitpicking, not substance. No evidence shows Putin dictated the summit's terms.
Claim 2. No ceasefire means Trump failed. The left screamed, "No deal," as if Trump promised a ceasefire on the spot. But Trump was clear. This was a feel-out meeting, not a final negotiation. Putin's demands, full control of 4 Ukrainian provinces, Crimea's recognition, and Ukraine's neutrality are non-starters for Kyiv. Zelensky's response? No deals without Ukraine. Trump's goal was to get Putin and Zelensky to the table, not to sign a treaty in Alaska. Sources like PolitiFact confirm no ceasefire was expected. The summit was about leverage, not resolution. Media claims of failure ignore Trump's own words. There's no deal until there's a deal. Claim 3. Trump ended Putin's isolation. The narrative that Trump rehabilitated Putin by hosting him is dramatic but flimsy. Putin's been to Saudi Arabia, China, and India since 2022, meeting leaders like Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi. His isolation was never total. Russia's economy, despite sanctions, grew 3.6% in 2024, per IMF data. The summit didn't lift sanctions or change ICC status. Russia Today's footage of Trump fawning over Putin, a 10-second clip of them laughing backstage, hyped as proof of weakness. Meanwhile, X users with 20 million views posted photos of Obama, Biden, and Clinton shaking Putin's hand, exposing the double standard. The right's defense, Trump's playing 4D chess. On the flip side, Trump's base sees a master strategist. Fox News' Charles Hurt called it a huge win for America, arguing Trump showcased U.S. military and economic dominance. X posts with 18 million likes praised Trump's leverage. Quote, "He's got Putin on a leash with tariffs and sanctions." The right points to Trump's economic moves. 50% tariffs on India for buying Russian oil, announced August 6th, gave Putin a reason to talk. CIA Director John Ratcliffe's presence ensured Trump knew Russia's internal struggles, high inflation, labor shortages, giving him an edge.
Putin at the presser, speaking in Russian. The press conference's biggest shock came from Putin himself. If Trump had been president in 2022, there would have been no war. The crowd gasped. Trump grinned. The media ignored it. This wasn't a throwaway line. It was Putin confirming Trump's campaign narrative that his leadership deterred Russian aggression. X exploded, with 25 million views on posts like, "Putin just admitted Trump's the only one who could have stopped this." But is it true? Or was Putin playing Trump for a soundbite? World map zooming in on Ukraine, Russia, China, and the Middle East. This summit wasn't just about Ukraine. Insiders whisper Trump and Putin discussed China, Iran, and nuclear treaties like New START, set to expire in 2026. Trump's recent moves, joining Israel's airstrikes on Iran, brokering an Armenia-Azerbaijan peace deal, signal he's flexing global muscle. Putin, strained by 1 million casualties and economic woes, needs a win to sell at home. Russian media, like TASS, hailed the summit as a reset in U.S.-Russia ties, while Kyiv's press cried betrayal. Europe's reaction? Panic. Leaders like Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron fear a Yalta 2.0, where great powers carve up smaller nations. Zelensky's absence from the talks fueled distrust,
with Ukraine's media warning Trump might trade territory for peace. On X, 30 million views on post debated, is Trump selling out Ukraine or forcing peace? The truth? Trump's playing a high-stakes game, balancing America first with global stability.
The media's meltdown reveals more about them than the summit. They ignored Putin's praise of Trump, but amplified every critique. Fox News corrected their own reporter's steamrolled claim, proving even conservative outlets can't resist drama. Meanwhile, ABC's Mary Bruce demanded clarity, as if Trump owes her classified details mid-negotiation. X users with 22 million views mocked the press. They're mad they didn't get their sound bites. The hypocrisy is glaring. Biden's press conferences were tightly controlled, yet no outrage then. The media's real gripe? Trump's in charge, and they're not. What's next? No ceasefire came from Alaska, but Trump setting the stage for a trilateral meeting with Zelenskyy and Putin. Will it happen? Zelensky's firm, no territorial concessions. Putin's demands, full control of 4 provinces, are a non-starter. Trump's leverage, tariffs, sanctions, military aid, gives him cards to play. But Russia's adaptability, selling oil to China, Turkey, weakens his hand. The summit's real outcome? A signal to the world. America's back, and Trump's not afraid to deal with enemies. But if he can't deliver peace, the media's failure narrative might stick.